Frith. Ina mana, ina reo, ro angaterama, tena koto katoa. Good evening. Welcome everybody. My name is George Weeks and I'm an urban designer at Auckland Council. And as Frith has described, I was the lead author on the Auckland City Centre Master Plan Refresh, our 20-year vision for the heart of the city. And you can read it on your laptop computer or mobile device. I'm here to give a quick talk on the master plan from young people's perspectives. And this is very important because young people often have a very hard time being heard. They're told to shut up and be realistic. They'd rather do noble deeds than useful ones. And this statement is not from Mike Hosking. This is from Aristotle. It is from 2,500 years ago. And similarly, we all know that young people are contemptible, ill-informed chatterboxes. And this quote is not from Harry Enfield. It's from Socrates. It's even older than Aristotle. In other words, dismissal of young people by older people is literally as old as civilization. This is an event about young Aucklanders. I've still got most of my hair, but I'm not particularly young. When I was born, David Lange was the new Prime Minister. The Cure were touring New Zealand. Billy T. James was filming Came a Hot Friday. Stig Blomqvist won the New Zealand rally in an Audi Quattro. I mean, how 80s can you get? And atmospheric CO2 was about 340 ppm compared to well over 400 now. It all seems like a long time ago. And as you can tell, I'm not originally from New Zealand. Before coming to Auckland, I worked as an urban designer at Transport for London, mainly on best practice street and road design guides. And as well as this, I also had a voluntary side hustle as a pub quizmaster. Back one slide. There's a slight lag on the Meduhic, yes. But I had a second voluntary side hustle, this time by bicycle, which was taking study tours to places in the UK and overseas that have accessible streets. And I mean, this is all about finding out how different cities work and just really getting to understand, what really can be done if you put your mind to what your streets can do. I must emphasize that my cycle study tours were nothing like this. Ugh. Rubbish. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. The real point about the best cities are the ones that make you smile. Which brings me to Auckland, which is a city that I love very much, and where I've lived for the past 4.5 years. Goodness gracious, here we go. And so I came here in 2017. I think this position works with the clicker, to help refresh the Auckland City Centre Master Plan, which alongside the waterfront plan was written in 2012. And they're both very visionary documents, and they both have achieved a huge amount in the past 9 years. And some of you may be saying, well, is this the plan for the Auckland CBD? In which case, if you're asking that question, please put $10 in the swear jar right now. CBD is years out of date. Almost 40,000 people live here. It's the best connected square mile in New Zealand. It's the city centre. It's for everyone. And a master plan helps make it into a better place. I mean, think of things like the city centre shared spaces, like Lawn Street. I mean, only a few years ago, this was what we thought was normal. But now we realise there's much more to streets than how much free parking you can squeeze in. Similarly, the City Centre Master Plan transformed the old Nelson Street off-ramp into a rather cool new public space for the city centre. And the City Centre Master Plan showed how City Rail Link would shape urban development. Albert Street looked like this in 2012 when a master plan was published, and Albert Street looks a bit like that now. Pretty cool. But this confident vision for our biggest city, our biggest ever transport scheme, gave confidence to our biggest investors. I mean, Precinct Properties would not have dropped $1 billion of their investors' money into Commercial Bay if they weren't sure that it was going to pay off. So in 2018, very exciting year, we saw New Zealand's first commercial space launch. What was also exciting was we saw the Auckland Plan being published. And this set out statutory outcomes for the whole city for 2050. The statutory vision for the whole city comes from the Auckland Plan. And This, plus other factors, meant that it was a good time to refresh the Auckland City Centre Master Plan, to make it consistent with the Auckland Plan, make it internally consistent with the Waterfront Plan, and really just reflect how the world had changed since 2012. To cut an extremely long story short, we refreshed and digitised the City Centre Master Plan between 2018 and 2020 with sustained and valuable input from Auckland Council, Auckland Transport, Panuku, Boffa Miskell, MR Cagney, Jazzmax, Tyrone O'Hare, Buzz Channel, and many, many others, many of whom are in this room, and I thank you all very much for your contributions and leadership in it. So what's in the City Centre Master Plan, I hear you cry? This, I promise, is the only slide on which I will read word for word because it's important and also because the white text isn't showing up very well against the blue sky. The City Centre Master Plan is the key guiding document for the Auckland Council whānau, setting the strategic direction for the city centre over the next 20 years. And this strategic direction has been developed through a huge amount of analysis, engagement, and political dialogue. If it's in the City Centre Master Plan, people have approved it at strategic and senior levels and by our elected city councillors at Planning Committee, at least one of whom is in this room. The Auckland City Centre Master Plan applies the Auckland Plan to the city centre through 10 outcomes to be delivered through 8 transformational moves and access for everyone. What is access for everyone, I hear you cry? Well, access for everyone, we developed it as part of the City Centre Master Plan refresh to really work out how to transform Queen Street for pedestrians and public transport while also increasing access to the city centre. It's a traffic circulation model that uses Mayoral Drive and the motorway box for general traffic, freeing up more city centre streets for other uses and providing more public space. And it's very much Auckland's plan, but it's based on a design from Groningen in the northern Netherlands, which was developed by this guy, Max van der Burg, when he was only 24, and he was the deputy mayor for transport. And Dutch cities in the 1970s were clogged with traffic. And faced with traffic-clogged streets and a lack of car parking, sound familiar? City traffic movement was reorganised around 4 low-traffic neighbourhoods connected with the ring road. Traffic can go from one zone to another via the ring road, but you can walk or cycle anywhere within it. And here's how the same square looks now. Not only is it prettier without the Beatles, the city is prosperous because it attracts people, and it attracts business, and it generates wealth. Here's how city centre streets look in Groningen today. Imagine the fresh air, the sound of birdsong, chit-chat and laughter. This is somewhere that you simply want to be. And Access for Everyone allows us to do something similar for Auckland City Centre, and it is in the City Centre Master Plan. We also have 8 transformational moves in the City Centre Master Plan, setting out 8 categories of place-based intervention in the city centre, coordinating existing works and making new proposals, all of which are to do with transport and accessibility, making a city that's easier to get to, easier to get around, nicer when you're there, and you can follow the link which is flashing in the corner of your eye. Look it up for yourself, explore it. And all of these lead to more opportunities, again, which are all listed in the City Centre Master Plan. You can look them up for yourself, and these include things such as our vision to transform the eastern edge of the city centre, the missing middle between Parnell and the city, transforming it from a kind of a bit of a in-between space into a medium-rise, high-density urban neighbourhood, which could almost be as big as Wynyard Quarter, using the existing Waka Kotahi NZTA transport designation to build a motorway boulevard linking Tamaki Drive with the Grafton Gully motorway, making space for movement, but also supporting the necessary frontage development for an urban area, providing space to move, space to interact with the surrounding buildings, really a better functioning streets. Or how about the Master Plan's reflection of Tamaki Makaurau as the world's largest Māori city, working with the Mana Whenua Kaitiaki Forum to develop a vision for a papakōkiri, a flexible space located here on Queen's Wharf, just east of the ferry building, to allow Mana Whenua to offer many different functions and activities and share Tamaki Makaurau Mana Whenua identity with the world, as we see here. And a whare tapere, a highly flexible facility with studio and performance space, both internally and facing OTS Square, creating an edge to contain and activate the southern side of the square. And there are many, many more city centre master plan opportunities. Take a look at the website, go home, look it all up and see. And if you've got ideas that fit within these principles, we do not have the monopoly on good ideas. Develop them, tell them, let us know, work out how you can contribute to the vision. I mean, it's very much what can you bring to the city? And also look at the 3D maps for each city centre precinct. These are on the master plan as well. You can go there, see the different buildings proposed, the different spaces involved, go ahead, take a look, get to know it, figure it out, work out how you can be part of the journey. So I want to finish by touching briefly on the city centre master plan, really about the consultation and engagement, which took place between 2019 and 2020. And this included, as Frith mentioned, targeted engagement with many, many organisations, including the Youth Advisory Panel, and also a wider public engagement taking place between September, October 2019. So among all the respondents, we had more than 500, more than 3,000 individual comments. I read every single one, I promise, of whom more than 3/4 supported the overall vision, and more than 4/5 supported the idea of access for everyone. And among young people, and for this purpose I'm saying young as 24 or younger, there was a slightly higher level of support, particularly for access for everyone, but also really for the idea of transit-oriented development. One person specifically said they wanted to see supermarkets near railway stations, which I think is a fine idea. I mean, here is just a random sample of some of the comments that young people provided. People wanted to see dedicated reference to Auckland's diversity and openness, better architecture, fewer ugly buildings, build more greenways, public transport, public transport, public transport, public transport. That was all the same comment. Somebody had a very fixed idea. Please work closely with Auckland Transport to make sure your strategic outcomes align. Every other country seems to understand that you put supermarkets by the transit stops. The plan refresh is active on the front of climate change, a key issue of our time, also seeks to bring and uplift the human perspective of the streets of Auckland. I like that one a lot. So these are the kinds of things people were saying. I think consistent amongst young people and the respondents as a whole, the most common phrase we got was, in terms of support, was people liking the direction towards greater pedestrian friendliness. And a second theme that I really got from reading the comments was one that Monty Python's God might have approved, which was, get on with it. Please do less consulting and please do more doing things. And this, applause there, thank you so much. And this brings me back to our friend from Groningen, Max van der Burg, who transformed Groningen at the age of 24. He says that he was accused of being a problematic administrator, even in my own party. There were people who strongly disagreed. To me, they were lagging behind. It was really just a clash between generations. And remember, if we go back to level 4 last year, we experienced traffic-free, quiet streets across pretty much all of Auckland. I mean, this is Ponsonby Road. You could actually hear conversation in Ponsonby Road. People wanted to go out and about with their families, with their kids, with their Alsatians. I mean, we had a whole system of streets accessible to all generations. I mean, on whose side of history, on whose side of history do we wish to be? Even just outside this building, we've seen a rapid transformation as well. Quay Street transformed to give us a whole new city centre waterfront and an enabling city centre life. I mean, it was pretty awful while the construction was taking place. Everyone got stuck in traffic at some point, but now it's not pretty awful, it's pretty lovely. It's actually gorgeous. I'm going to leave it here, really. I've spoken quite enough, and many other people have more to say. But to finish, really just please remember that Auckland has a visionary city centre master plan. It's politically endorsed. It's freely available. It's full of wonderful pictures, animations, and 3D images. And I urge you, whatever your age, to really get to know the master plan, understand it, and use it to make it possible to deliver a greener, more prosperous, and more livable city that works for all Aucklanders. Thank you.